I must have lucked out because I never had any sketchy people on the bus with me. It was always a nice quiet ride. So, I don't know. Must have lucked out, like I said. But, yeah, I don't know. Seems like a lot of the people that, like I said earlier, it seems like lately we've had a lot of like hobos and stuff in town. And we live very far up north in Michigan, and I feel like what's going on is these police departments downstate get these guys, and they don't know what to do with them, and they can't arrest them or put them in jail. So they buy them a bus ticket to the furthest, and they can't kick them out of the state. So they're like, well, let's kick them as far away from here as possible. So they send them up north to us. And it's like, well, now we have hobos walking around, and our winter just started, and we get real winter up here. We have, I think, six of the highest snow amounts, accumulated snow by the end of the winter. Six of the snowiest places in America are in this area. And it's like, so you send these hobos up here, and then they just walk around. One of them has already been to jail a couple times because assaulting, following women to their car. And we live in a little town. Following, females to their cars after work, freaking them out. So then he gets put in jail for harassment for, a week, and then he's out again. And it's just like, son of a bitch, man. Like, they gotta find something better to do. Like, these people shouldn't be allowed to, and they're all mentally, all of them have something going on. And it's like, these people need to be in some kind of facility, not walking around terrorizing a small town because the fucking, the people that deal with them and down south don't want to deal with them, It's just like, come on. I just need to do something better. But they won't. They'll just, and then we get tired of them and we bus them back to wherever they're from. And then we don't see them for a while, and then, lo and behold, a few months later, there they are, bumming around town again, loafing around, harassing people. And it's just like, son of a bitch. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. I don't know what else to say. But it happens. It happens, and it's sad because, like, these people, they're not criminals, but they're obviously something wrong with them. They're, off their rocker a little bit. And it's like they need to be in some kind of facility, not walking around. Because it gets cold up here. It's just a matter of time before one of these guys, decides to break into a place or whatever just because it's flipping cold outside, Just to survive. And it's like, then what? Then they're going to get blasted by somebody because they're breaking into their house or something. So it's like they put these people and us in a shitty position when they send them up north, who cares? So, I don't know. I don't know what to do. No one does, apparently. So, now we just got hobos walking around and they're just gonna either freeze to death or something. What else do they do? What else do they do? They just walk around town and get arrested for messing with people, and then we can't do nothing with them. We'll hold them for a week and then send them back to wherever they're from, and then it's just all over again. Not much you can do. It's funny how you can't do anything in certain situations, but in other ones you can do a lot. The whole homeless thing is turned into and that one politician called it like the homeless industrial complex, and that's very true. It's become a racket. I mean, look at California. They spent 24 billion on homelessness. Nothing got solved, and they ended up with more homeless people. Well, it's like, what the hell do you think was going to happen? You told them to come out to California, and you'd pay for everything, and you'd give them safe drug injection sites and all this kind of stuff. And you wonder why, it got bigger. And it's just a huge racket. It's like, man, I've thought about it. I'm like, I should go start a homeless industrial complex. What do you call those, non-profits? Somehow it's a non-profit where everybody's making 100 grand a year, 150 grand a year for doing shit. I don't know. It's a messed up situation. The whole thing is just messed up, and it needs to be dealt with better. Do I have the answers? Nope. Not the ones you want to hear. I can tell you this much, though. You're not going to cure homelessness with compassion. Because there's nothing compassionate about letting an old lady or a single mom with kids or anybody, there's nothing compassionate about letting them live on the damn streets. Period. That's just my hot take. It's not a very good one, but it's the one I got. Let me see what I got going on here. Yep, and maybe one day they will figure it out. It's crazy. I was watching an episode of Star Trek Deep Space Nine, my favorite Star Trek, and it took place, spoiler alert, it took place, I believe it's called past tense, but it took place, Sisko and Bashir, the doctor, they got, in some transporter mishap, got transported to the far distant past of 2024, San Francisco, a sanctuary district. And it was a district called Sanctuary District, surprisingly enough, and it's where the government stuck all the homeless people that had accumulated because of the horrible conditions in the economy and whatnot. Now, these people were stuck in a shitty part of town that they walled off, and the wider public just assumed, well, the government's taking care of it and feeding them and, giving them a job. All the fancy words. Job placement, sanctuary, all that BS. Basically, they were just keeping them all in there in a ghetto, like a Warsaw-style ghetto, and not letting them leave. And if you were basically found out in the wider public without your papers, your identification papers, you could get roped up and taken to one of these sanctuary districts. And it hit on so many things. And you got to think that episode was made in like 1994, maybe 95. But it hit on so many things that are going on today when it comes to the homelessness and the economy and the police state. Living in a police state and, the intense laws. And it was pretty crazy that they hit on so many things that ended up coming true. It really is. It's crazy. If you're a Star Trek fan, you haven't seen that one for a while, go check it out. And if you're not even a Star Trek fan, go check it out. Star Trek Deep Space Nine, episodes called Past Tense. I want to say it's a two-parter. I think it's a two-parter. But yeah, they go in the past, and the transporter messed something up and sucked them back into the past, and Sisko had to end up being part of this riot because the riot was going to bring attention. Historically, the riot brought attention to the conditions in the districts. It led to change and reforms and blah blah. But Sisko and Bashir, trying to be do-gooders, broke up a fight, and then that fight they broke up ended up starting another fight where the guy that was supposed to be the ringleader of this riot that changed the world, that would have led to Star Trek happening, got killed defending Sisko. Well, luckily Sisko was a black dude as well, with a shaved head, 6 foot tall, 38 years old as well, so he took the role of Gabriel or whatever, I believe was the name of the guy that he was supposed to be, being. But it's crazy how many things they touched on that are valid things in today's America and in just today's world in general. Pretty crazy. Yep, the sanctuary city riots. Interesting how it worked. But it's just like, of all the words they could have picked, that's the one they picked, was the sanctuary. I thought that was cool. You know, when I was a kid in California, we would go out to San Francisco once in a while back in the 90s. And I remember thinking, what an awesome town. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure it still is in a lot of ways, but it's also taken a shit in a lot of ways. You can't tell me it hasn't. There's a lot of, they had the poop thing where people are just shitting on the sidewalk, and yeah, crazy stuff, man. Well, I think I'm gonna call that one good to go, peeps. There it is. Well, I can put in a couple clouds just for the hell of it. There it is, people. Thanks for swinging by, everybody.